What's up, Ranger fans? BroadwayBlueBleeder here. I have some exciting news for you guys. Today is going to be the first of many weekly episodes that we're going to do on Wednesdays called Wednesday Wrap-Up. It's going to be featured on our main YouTube page. That's BroadwayBlueBleeder. On YouTube, we have a shorts page and we have another page that's not up and running yet, but we will get there eventually. I'm very excited to bring this to you. This is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. For those that don't know me, my name is Dennis Moorhead. I'm a diehard Rangers fan. I've been a Rangers fan since about January 4th, 1989, I'd say, which happens to be my birthday. I chose BroadwayBlueBleeder because I do bleed blue, like most Ranger fans do. Rangers are obviously based on Broadway. You know, that's what we gotta do. So, thank you guys for taking the time out to watch this. Thank you guys on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You guys have been killing it with my shorts. So this is something I just want to do, talk about my love for the game. And like I said, it's going to be weekly episodes taped on Tuesdays. We're going to be posting them on Wednesdays. So we're going to go from Wednesday to Tuesday for the weekly wrap-up. So for today, we're going to do the St. Patrick's Day Massacre. We're going to do the 2 games against the Capitals, and we're going to do last night's game against the Sabres. I guess we'll start it off with the Massacre. Wednesday night, March 17th, New York Rangers beat the Philadelphia Flyers 9-0. Interesting note, it was the first game without Dan Quinn behind the bench. He and the rest of the coaching staff are out due to the COVID protocol. So the minor league coach, not Chuck Knobloch, see I had an error there. Chris Knobloch came up, coached his first game. GM Chris Drury was behind the bench as well. The Rangers won 9-0. And before we even get into the game, no, it does not show anything about how the current players feel towards Dan Quinn. That's been going around the internet like wildfire. That's absolutely crazy. Professional athletes can't just turn it on and off. You know, you don't like your coach, you can't play bad because that's on tape for the rest of your career. The guys are responding to Quinn. Last year at the end of the season showed it. They were one of the hottest teams in the league, and they're doing it again right now. People forget, I know this is weekly wrap-up, but let's try time travel back before Wednesday's game. We're going to talk about the overtime loss to the Flyers where the Rangers came back from a 2-0 deficit. And I'm sure many other Rangers fans did not think that was going to happen. And the game before when they won 4-0 against the Bruins. So 2 games in a row, they played the way that they should be playing, and it's no coincidence that Mika Zibanejad, who had 6 points against the Flyers Wednesday night, 6 points, NHL record tying, that is awesome. What else do we expect from Mika? Everything, because he's the greatest. But it means he's playing his game. The Rangers themselves are playing their game. Their defense is tightening up. They're getting good goaltending. Their offense is starting to kick. It has nothing to do with Dan Quinn. See, Dan Quinn. I'm a Falcons fan. I don't know if you guys can see that right here. Unfortunately, I am a Falcons fan. Dan Quinn is fired from the Falcons. I apologize. David Quinn. Just because he's not behind the bench doesn't mean they're going to be playing better. It's the team as a whole. You know, Knobloch runs the same system down in Hartford that Quinn does up here. Most of the game was Quinn talking to Knobloch through an earpiece and headset that they showed on air, so it's not like it was being hidden. The lineups were the same. Everything was basically the same, and Knobloch had even come out and said the same. So, no, it's not a Quinn thing. It's the Rangers finally starting to do what they're supposed to do. They're a defensive first team, and it's been showing. The kids are starting to show it. You know, it's coming. Just, it has nothing to do with Quinn. I just want to point that out again and again and again and again. I'm sure I'm going to get comments about how wrong I am. So be it. Let's talk. We can talk about it. Let's get on to the game, though. Like I said, Mika Zibanejad had 6 points, 3 goals, natty hat trick, 3 assists as well in that game. I'm not going to pretend like I know who scored every game, or every goal, I'm sorry. So let me read those off to you real quick. We started off with goal scorer Brendan Lemieux, his 2nd of the year from Adam Fox and Brett Howden, the Man Rocket. Second goal was Artemi Panarin, his 7th on the year from Ryan Strome. The 3rd and 4th goals were Pablo Buchenetlich, his 9th and 10th. First one was assisted by Mika Zibanejad. Second one was by Trouba and Zibanejad. The next goal was New York Rangers, Jacob Trouba from Zibanejad and Buchenetlich. Then the next 3, shorthanded goal, Mika Zibanejad. Power play goal, Mika Zibanejad. Even strength goal, Mika Zibanejad. First goal was unassisted. Second goal was assisted by Artemi Panarin, Ryan Strome. And his third goal was Kreider and Buch. And the final goal was Philip Hedl, his fourth of the year, from Libor Hayek and Alexei Lafreniere. Georgiev had the shutout coming off a really bad game against the Bruins previously. Kincaid had been starting the last couple games. He's looking pretty good as a backup. I think there might be a little bit of a backup controversy going on right now. Contracts are going to make that really hard because I believe Kincaid only has about 14 days, I could be wrong, of NHL contract days left before he loses his waiver clause and he can't be sent down to the minors. So for those that don't know, the Rangers have been bouncing Kincaid between the taxi squad and the NHL roster on off nights. That way those days don't count towards his contract, so it doesn't run out sooner. We obviously weren't expecting Igor to get hurt like this, so contingency plans are in the background, which is great. This game was just brutal for the Flyers. I mean, I probably could have coached, and the Rangers still would have won. It might not have been 9-0, but it would have been a Rangers win. This is AV's MO, as we unfortunately know. He has 1 or 2 great seasons, and then completely just the bed. And we're sick of it. Flyers fans are already sick of it. I'm just glad he's not our problem anymore. I have no idea why this guy's a head coach still. Who knows? Whatever. He's terrible. Flyers had no interest playing that game. It was poorly defended. Exactly what the Rangers needed, though, because Mika Zibanejad has been on a tear since then. We'll get into that. So that was that Wednesday night game. Let's get into the following game, which was a 2-0 loss. I don't know if you guys can pick up on that. There might be dog sounds in the background. I currently have 3 dogs here, so they're going to be walking around. My office isn't quite set up yet. Just wanted to do a dry run with our first video, so bear with us. Might be choppy edits too while I get up and out and move around, so stand by 1 second. Sorry about that. So we're going to get on to the next game in a second. Kind of wanted to just step back, talk about Wednesday's game from my perspective. I had said earlier, for those guys that follow my shorts, I believe Philip Hedl is going to be the number 2 center by the end of the year. I still think that's going to be the case. He's looked a lot better this year. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. He's even commented as much. He drives a lot to the net now. He knows how to use the stick, and he's not taking silly penalties. You can kind of say that about the whole diaper line, which is the Kakko, Hedl, Lafreniere line. Kakko, night in, night out, is probably one of the Rangers' top skaters every game, and I know there's stats out there that back that up. Yes, he's not putting up the points, but you know what? He's playing a really rounded game. I believe he still leads the team in takeaways per 60 minutes, which is insane for him to do. His offense is getting there. He's got the vision for the passing. He's going to just have to start finishing. He's got to get confident in his shot, confident in his offensive play in the NHL, and I think it'll come. I really think people are jumping the gun on him. He is going to be a good one. Quinn wanted to make sure he plays the game right, full 200 feet, and I think we're starting to see that here. He's starting to play in crunch time defensively. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing him on the PK soon as well. He reminds me a lot of Jesper Fast, just much more offensively talented. Lafreniere is still flopping around a little bit. You know, he's got to find his way. He's a rookie. He hadn't played in 6 months, I want to say 7 months before being drafted because of COVID protocols and all that. He didn't even have a normal training camp. So give him time. He'll be okay. He's had flashes. It's going to happen. You know, that kid line is the reason to be optimistic. And I think people are starting to forget that this season isn't about final results, wins and losses. It's about progression. And this team is progressing. Wednesday night shows that. You know, the last few games have showed that. Let me get into the following game, which was a unfortunate 2-1 loss to the stupid Capitals. 2 days later, that was on Friday. I know the goals were scored by Ovechkin. Of course, he had 2 goals after getting just completely lit up by Ryan Lindgren, who we'll get into in a little bit after the recap for this game. Again, I'm not going to pretend like I remember everything that happened in these games. I know our goal is a power play goal. I'm not going to be fully certain on who scored it first. I believe it was Panarin. It wouldn't surprise me, and it was Panarin. That was his 8th from Strome and Adam Fox, who, again, we'll get into in a little bit. Goals by the Capitals were scored by Ovechkin, of course, his 13th and 14th from Kuznetsov and Jeff Schultz and Carlson and Zdeno Chara. This was a tough one to lose. Rangers were up 1-0. As Rick Carpinello of The Athletic likes to say, the Rangers were smoking in the dynamite jet a lot of this game, especially in the third period, and it came back to bite them in the butt. This was kind of a sobering wake-up call for some of those Quinn detractors who think that Knobloch should be the starting coach. Exactly what happened this game had been happening under Quinn's watch as well. The Rangers had 2 great periods. They came out in the third and just totally got dominated. They played 54 minutes, and those 6 minutes that they didn't play cost them 2 points in the standings, and these points are important at this point. It was a tough one, and I was worried that they were going to come out the next night and not do so well. I think we know now that's not the case. However, let's get back into the game with Ryan Lindgren, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite players. He will be wearing a letter at some point. The guy literally bleeds every time he is on, in this case, off the ice. He took a puck to the face, bled, came back out, and absolutely trucked Ovechkin, which is not something a lot of people get to say. Washington, for whatever stupid reason, thought it was a dirty hit. It was a completely clean hit. I think if there was retaliation for a clean hit, the penalty should be more severe than a 2-minute penalty or whatever may come from it, because that's just ridiculous. There's no need for that in this day and age. There's enough safety in line or in place to protect the players. If it's a clean hit, it's a clean hit. It's hockey. Big boy, suck it up. Let's go. Thank God Wilson wasn't in for that game, because it would have gotten ugly between him and Lindgren. Lindgren got under their skin, which was awesome, because he didn't do anything wrong. During the game, there was replays being shown of guys from Washington coming over and intentionally hitting him, checking his stick out of his hands, and that's what we needed that game. It just didn't work out in the end. But the biggest thing is the Rangers have to learn from these things. These kids are going to be going through growing pains. Yes, the veterans are starting to play better. Yes, the kids are starting to pick up their game, but there's going to be a lot of growing pains. The Rangers are one of the youngest teams in the league. They're going to have growing pains. You need to let them happen. As we saw the next night, again, back-to-back, they played the Capitals. This time it was a bit different. It was a 3-1 win. The game started the exact same way, which is kind of funny. We had an early goal in the first that stayed a 1-0 lead until the third period when the Capitals scored. And then the Rangers took over and won it 3-1. First goal was by Buchenetlich, of course, one of my favorite players on the Rangers right now, assisted by Adam Fox, who should just change his name to Adam Goat. We'll get there in a second, like I said. Mika Zibanejad, not surprised to hear his name again. Third period goal was scored by John Carlson at 5:55 in the period, made it 1-1. Mika with one of the top undressed plays I have ever seen. I believe it was against Dylan in the defensive zone. Offensive zone, my bad. Zibanejad came up, bumped him off the puck, stole the puck, quick shot above Samsonov. I believe it was his left shoulder, top cheese shelf. It was amazing. Rangers take a 2-1 lead. Mika's fully back. Don't at me. You guys know it's true. He's looking great. Adam Fox, I don't want to say it. He reminds me of somebody else that used to play for the Rangers. I don't remember his number or his name. Something Bleach, I think. I don't remember. I don't remember at all. But a lot of similarities between him and this other player. I didn't say it. Somebody else may say it, but he's another one that I think is going to be wearing a letter very soon. It's going to be interesting what they do with that as well with these kids as they start coming up, to see if they actually name a captain or if they're going to go with alternate assistants like they used to, or they did a couple years ago. Alternates, I guess, would be the name. So this game, Rangers took 2 points. Again, a game that they could have lost easily had it not been for Zibanejad's heroics and Brett Howden scoring an empty net there at the end of the game. That's his first of the season. The man rocket himself. That was from Strome and Buchenetlich. The Rangers looked great again. Capitals are probably the best team in the East. Rangers hung with them. Chris Kreider is coming along. I don't know why I brought him up yet. Just jumped ahead of myself. We'll get to that next. Hold on a second. Power play looked but again, it's starting to get there. Once the Benajad starts coming along, Rangers power play is going to be okay. It's going to be just like last year. I really would like to see Strome pushed down to maybe the second, and I'd really like to see Capo Caco get a chance on the first power play. They need that lefty shot in there. There's too many righty sticks, and it's just not. It's not good when the opposing team knows they can press out on Panarin and Zibanejad in the face-off shot where they like their one-timers from. Once they shut those off, our power play kind of goes in the dumps. So I think I'd like to see Kako up on that line. We'll see if it happens. I'm hoping so. But, the kids are learning. Let's get to the next game, which was last night's game against the Sabres, in which they had another typical Ranger start to the game where many probably thought they were going to blow it. They did not look good in the first period at all. They came out extremely flat, which is surprising coming off such a huge win against the Capitals. But in this game, the Rangers did win. They won by a final score of 5-3. Like I said, no goals were scored in the first. In the second, Rasmus Asplund scored for the Sabres to start the scoring. Capo Caco put one in from Panarin. Chris Kreider then had another from Panarin and Fox. Fox then himself had a goal from Mika and Buchenetlich. Dylan Cousins, Jeff Skinner scored for the Sabres to tie it at 3 apiece. That's in the third period. And then a power play goal by Chris Kreider and an empty netter by Capo Caco stopped the scoring, ends the game. Rangers take it 5-3. Another big game, another huge win. This is a team they should have dominated from the start. Sabres are just not good. They have no direction. You look at them on the ice, they don't even know what they're doing. It's kind of disgusting what's going on over there. I feel for some of the players that are trying and they're not getting help. They're not getting anything. It's a tough situation for them to be in. This game we will talk about the man beast, as I will start calling him from now on, or the GOAT, Adam Fox. What else can you say? This kid was traded, I believe it was two second rounders from the Hurricanes. Thank you very much for the steal of the century. I mean, this kid is just lights out. Full 200 feet on the ice. He knows what he's doing. He's never pressured. He's never panicked. He always makes the great pass. He always knows where to be before the puck's even there. And that's amazing to watch. Yes, I know I wouldn't say his name. He reminds us a lot of Brian Leach. I'm going to say it. It was his 100th game, getting a goal and assist, because of course he did. It's Adam Fox. He's going to be a stalwart back there for years to come. I mean, I love the way our defense looks as a whole. Especially this game was another good game. Trouba is playing really well with K'Andre Miller, who's another rookie that many people didn't see playing this well this soon. He looks like another pro vet out there. It's insane how good he is. Lindgren and Fox, top line. Lindgren is just a whole nother animal this year. He's putting in some offensive game plan, he's putting in some of his offense. His defense is always solid. He sticks up for his teammates. He knows when to throw the hip checks. He knows when to throw the big hits. He plays almost every minute he can out there, and of course he probably bleeds every single game, but that's why we love him. He's got some Viking blood running through him. I don't know what it is. But that defense is set for a while. We have some young kids that are still coming. Libor Hayek's taken some leaps this year. He looks pretty good. He has some good games, and he has a bonehead play. He gets on himself pretty bad, and then continues his gameplay. But as a whole, the Rangers are looking good, at least defensively. Offensively, Chris Kreider had his 15th and 16th of the season. Both were on the power play, so he actually leads the East now in goals with 16, which is pretty impressive for Chris Kreider. I know a lot of people will say he's inconsistent. I agree. I want to see if he can keep this up after signing a big contract last year, see if he can keep doing what he's supposed to be doing, keep his offensive going. He's playing some penalty kill minutes now. All in all, he's looking good. He's looking like a good signing. Capo Caco, he's just my guy. I gushed about him before. I'm going to gush about him again. The kid deserved his goal tonight. Great setup from Panarin on the doorstep. Caco put a move on the goalie, puts it in, and ties it at 1 at that point. He gets the empty net goal. Kid didn't even smile, but I know post-game he said, feels good to score, but after not scoring for that long, it feels even better. he knows. We all know how that feels. Maybe we don't. You get it. But that was that game. Any points I want to touch on from that game? Again, from here on out, the Rangers are going to have some tough games. They're going to have a lot of guys coming back, a lot of guys coming into the lineup, coming out of the lineup. Hopefully head coach Quinn will be back soon. We'll get everybody back, and we'll keep this thing rolling. I really like the way they've been playing the last few weeks. Like I said earlier, I think they're going to continue playing this way. I think they're going to surprise some teams. It's going to be tough for them to sneak into the playoffs. The East is a loaded division. But I think they can make some noise. I think they can play some spoilers, if you will. Hopefully knock the Flyers out of the playoffs, something like that. That would be really cool to watch. If they make the playoffs, even better. It's going to be, that much better for our young guys down the line when they get to the playoffs themselves and they have that experience already. I'm going to pause it for 1 second. I will be back in a moment. Alright, so with last week's 4 games in the books, Rangers got a total of 6 points out of 8. That currently puts them in 6th place in the East, the Mass Mutual East. First place we have the Islanders, then the Caps, Pittsburgh, Boston, Philly, Rangers. Now this year, because of COVID, the top 4 teams from each division make the playoffs. So right now the Rangers sit 6th. They're behind Philly, they're behind Boston. Rangers have 32 points, Philly with 34, Boston with 36. I believe, Rangers have 31 games played, so that's the most in the East, tied with Pittsburgh has 32 and the Islanders have 33. So Boston and Philly, who are ahead of the Rangers, have a couple more games in hand than the Rangers do, which is not good news. I also know that the Flyers and the Capitals have a pretty easy, the Flyers and Boston have a pretty easy schedule going forward with games against the Devils and Buffalo. A lot of games remaining with them. Rangers only have a few games remaining, I believe, with the Devils post-trade deadline, so that should be interesting to see if we have a new team at that point. As it stands, like I said, they're a couple spots out. It'd be nice for them to make it, absolutely, get that experience. If they don't, they don't. But I think they're going to learn a lot from this year. I think they're going to grow as a team from this year. I think they're only going to get better. They face a lot of adversity. There's been a lot of injuries. COVID has been wreaking havoc on the lineup. Injuries to Igor, who's hopefully coming back soon. I know he's day-to-day. I believe he's going to be skating today, which is yesterday, Tuesday, with the team. Very, very excited about Vitaly Kravtsov. He is finally here. He has cleared all COVID protocols, so he is skating this morning with the alternates, I believe. Plan is to have him practice with the team fully tomorrow. I don't expect to see him too soon. He's got to get acclimated with the team, get a few practices under his belt. I think he slots into the third line. I think what should happen, it should be the KZB line with Kreider, Zibanejad, and Buchenetlich. Line 2 should be Panarin, Strome, Kakko. 3 should be where I think Kravtsov would fit in, would be Loff, Hedl, and Kravtsov, with Blackwell, Howden, DiGiuseppe, Gauthier, and Lemieux fighting, and Rooney rounding out that 4th line. Rangers have a lot of forwards. They have a lot of offensive players, and not enough room for them. It's going to be very interesting. Couple weeks leading up to the trade deadline. It's going to be interesting to see how this team changes, if it changes at all. And this offseason should be very interesting, but we'll get into that once we hit those dates. So for right now, I think we're going to look ahead to next week. The Rangers are now off until Thursday, I believe, when they play the Flyers. And then they have a back-to-back on the end of the week. I believe I should know this. I get these confused though. Yeah, so they play on Thursday at 7 o'clock in Philly. Then they play on Saturday, 1 o'clock in Philly. And then they have another day game on Sunday, the 28th, in Washington at noon. And then they finish off the week on Tuesday versus the Capitals. So that's going to be interesting for me to try to put into our next video. I shouldn't have said that. I got to edit that out somehow. And if I don't edit it out, we'll figure out what we're going to do. Rangers, it's a big week. I think they should handle the Flyers but we'll see how that goes. They're going to be embarrassed coming off that 9-0 loss. And like I said, they're scratching and fighting for the playoffs as well. So it's going to be an interesting 4 games. I think the Rangers need another 6 points if they want to make a significant push towards the playoffs. They're going to need at least 6 out of 8 points, I think. Maybe 5. 5 might be borderline, but 6 should be good. And we'll go from there. Now, I think my players of the week, I think it's kind of obvious. First star is going to be Mika Zibanejad. He's looked absolutely lights out. Like I said, he is fully back. And the Rangers look better for it. So as I was saying, Mika Zibanejad had 9 points over the last 4 games. I'm going to go through a first time doing a video. I should have the stuff written out. We'll get there. Hang with me. Star number 2, I'm going to go with Pablo Buchenetlich. He had 8 points over the last 4 games. 4 assists. My math is not right here. 4 assists and 3 goals for 7 points. I apologize. He's just getting better and better. He is what many envisioned, again, Quickie to be, Jesper Fast. He plays that full defensive game now. It's amazing to see how much he's changed, how much he's grown. When you got to remember that he was in the doghouse under AV for a long time. AV just did not care about him, it seemed, and Quinn's come in and totally changed his game around, and it's been amazing to watch. Amazing to watch him grow. He's definitely a star center, or fringe star first liner. He's definitely good where he is here with the Rangers. I really, really like his gameplay. And I think just because he's my guy, doesn't really get it, shouldn't get it with the points he's had, but I'm going to give it to him. Star number 3 is Capo Caco, just because I like him. He had 2 goals his last game, and he's just looked overall much, much better from both offensive and his defensive game. Just looks much, much better. So there's my Wednesday wrap-up. After the Wednesday wrap-up, what I'd like to do, once we start getting some more comments, things like that, this is where you guys come in, my listeners. I'm going to need you big. Trying to make this, a fun thing for me to do. Also, I love doing it, so why not? We're going to do some listener questions. I got a couple. I have one, maybe 1 or 2 I'm going to answer now. Bear with me while I grab those. If you have your own listener question, there's many, many ways to find us. Shoot us an email, comment, whatever you want. We're on YouTube, BroadwayBlueBleeder. We're on Instagram, BroadwayBlueBleeder. It's Broadway_blue_bleeder. We're on TikTok, BroadwayBlueBleeder. Facebook, we have a Broadway Blue Bleeder page, and then we also have our own website, which we're going to be putting some more content on once this thing comes off, which is very soon. We're going to do some blog posts, some write-ups, some interviews with some fans, some friends of mine that I think you guys are going to really enjoy having on. And we're gonna start getting this game rolling. So you can definitely leave us some comments there. There's a little spot at the bottom. You can leave us your email. We'll sign you up for a newsletter that's going to be coming out soon. And you can leave some questions if you have them for us there, and we'll try to answer them as soon as we can on our weekly videos. So the first one today comes from a good friend of mine. His name is Dan. Dan is kind of a bigger nut than me, if that's even possible as far as the Rangers go. Me and him constantly go back and forth, talk about Rangers, everything Rangers, and he has a really, really good question I want to ask. Just bear with me while I find it here. Sorry about this, guys. Alright, so biggest one that I wanted to touch on today. Dan asks, over the past decade, Rangers fans have been spoiled by the brilliance and especially the durability of Henrik Lundqvist between the pipes. In a very small sample size, the current number 1 goalie, Igor Shesterkin, has missed time due to a myriad of injuries, including the start of the playoffs last year. Is his durability a current concern for the team, or are these just unfortunate situations? Fantastic question. Igor Shesterkin has been the talk of the town. He basically took Henrik Lundqvist's crown. Once he came up, I think fans kind of knew, even if they didn't want to admit it, the end was very near for Henrik Lundqvist. They carried 3 goalies last year. They knew it wasn't going to happen again this year. And we saw Hank get bought out in the summer. He signed with Washington, obviously had some complications, hasn't been able to play a game with them. We hope he gets back to the game. We love seeing him out there on the ice. We miss you, Hank. And get better soon. But it's a definite good question about Igor. For those that don't know, he had a mild groin pull earlier this month. I believe it was earlier this month. He's missed every game since. It was actually at the end of, I want to say, the Capitals game. I could be wrong on that. Non-contact injury, went out to make a save, and it looked bad. I mean, it looked bad. A lot of people thought he was going to miss a lot of time. Luckily, they said it was minor, wasn't anything big. Dan refers to last year's playoffs where Igor and Pablo Buchenetlich, it's not funny because it could have been serious, were involved in a car accident. Luckily, minor injuries. Igor ended up with some broken ribs, which kept him out of the playoffs, which the Rangers weren't going to make initially, just when the season ended. They extended it to the play-in round where the Rangers were able to make it. We all know what happened from there. They got swept by the Hurricanes, and that was the last we saw them in the playoffs. I do think that's a great question. I think it's just a series of unfortunate events. I know he hasn't played a lot of games, but he's still young. He's got to get his body in shape. He's got to get his mind in shape. He's only been here a year and a half. Hasn't even been a full season for him this year, obviously, with injuries. But I think his durability isn't too much in question. I'd be more surprised if next year, if he missed more time due to soft tissue injuries and non-contact things like that, would be somewhat concerning. I do love the fact that we have Benoit Allier as our goaltending coach. He seems to be able to turn water into wine, I guess would be the best analogy, or water into ice. He knows what he's doing. So I feel even if there is an injury history, which I hope there's not, if it's short term, we have the backup, necessary to fill in for him. If he does get hurt next year or even again this year in a non-contact, it would be worrisome, I think, just because, again, his body hasn't been able to take all the games that he's been playing. I think his durability will resolve itself once he gets more games under his belt, once he gets the strength and conditioning in. I hope he's going to be okay. Igor looks to be the real deal. He's going to be a good goalie for a long time in this league. Just needs to stay healthy. So that's going to do it for today's video. Going to post this tomorrow on Wednesday. Like I said, we're going to do this weekly. You guys have any ideas, any comments for me, put them in the comments below. This is going to be on our main YouTube page. Please like, comment, subscribe. Find us on our various social medias. And, we'll see you guys out there. Let's go Rangers.